Hail travelers, and welcome to the Knight's Realm. Here in the realm of Camelot, I, the Guardian Knight, venture deep into the archives of popular culture and entertainment to bring you all my own perspective on such matters. A little less than a year ago, I started this Bayverse rewritten journey, rediscovering how much I love both writing and acting. I was able to test out my voices for some of my favorite characters, from Optimus and Megatron to Starscream and Ironhide, and I was able to change the Transformers film IP into something that respected its universe more, at least in my opinion. But now we come to the end of that journey with this, the grand finale. Unicron as the final boss of the Bayverse was something that was teased both on and off camera, but such a thing never came to fruition. It would not be until the reboot with Rise of the Beasts that the Chaosbringer would make his live-action debut, and even then his presence was more to tease what is to come. Or what might come at this point. Come on, Hasbro, can't you make a single good decision lately? D&D drama, Transformers movies being indefinitely delayed, what's next? And Paramount's not off the hook either. You marketed Sonic 3 like your lives depended on it, but TF1 got completely shafted. Sorry about that. All the nonsense around those two properties in particular has me more than a little frustrated. I can take and dislike at the same time bad product, but woeful mishandling of good product or lacking of creative integrity infuriates me. As much as I have beef with the Bayverse, I never felt like it killed Transformers like some reactionaries like to say. My two favorite Transformers shows, animated and Prime, were both post-Bay productions, and Transformers 1 was a masterpiece. But Hasbro Entertainment has been fumbling the bag so much lately, with even the best post-Prime shows being incredibly juvenile, a game that had a lot of people excited being cancelled, and the whole "we won't be funding toy movies anymore" thing, as if the problem was the IP of the movies and not the marketing of the good one, writing of the bad ones, and producer of all of them. But my rants about the current state of two of my favorite properties aside, Dungeons & Dragons and Transformers, for my final Bayverse entry, I have elected to bring in Unicron. This movie will serve as a send-off to these versions of the characters and this universe, wrapping the story up and freeing the writer, me, up for more projects. As for what those projects are, watch my recent update video. No, seriously, watch it. That way I won't get 7 gajillion comments asking me about things I've already answered. Now, join me as we delve deep beneath the castle and begin our quest. We will start with the opening monologue from Optimus Prime, as is tradition. As Prime narrates, we will witness the story of the Transformers' origin.
Before time began, there was Primus, and there was Unicron. Brothers, remnants of a long-forgotten world. Primus was the living manifestation of order, of life, of creation, while Unicron embodied chaos, death, and destruction. For eons, these two opposites worked in harmony, for there is no life without death, no creation without destruction, no order without chaos. But Unicron grew envious of his brother's power to create, and sought to be master of all. He betrayed Primus, and the two began a war that would last an eternity. Equal but opposite in all things, neither could retain victory for long. So, Primus took a part of himself and fashioned the Matrix. Using its power, he created the 13, the first of the Primes, and the original Transformers. Now no longer alone, Primus defeated Unicron, but at great cost to himself. He gave what was left of himself to fashion a world for his new creations, and gave to them the Allspark. From his essence, new sparks were born, and Cybertron came to be. But Unicron remained. Some time passed, and the Chaosbringer returned, seeking to devour Cybertron. As Primus had, he took unto himself physical being, a monstrous creature that consumed planets to sustain itself. Once more, he faced the 13, and once more he was defeated, banished into deep space by the power of the Matrix, his very antithesis. Though evil has scourged Cybertron since then, Unicron has not been seen in millions of years. Yet I know that he is out there, biding his time until he can at last exact his vengeance on the children of Primus.
From there, we fade into the movie proper. Text at the bottom of the screen reads 2013. We see the Decepticon fleet leaving the Milky Way galaxy after the events of Dark of the Moon. Soundwave at the helm of the flagship, the Twilight. Megatron's body is contained in a clear-lidded coffin. The fleet is hit by a solar storm as they enter a new system, one that drives the Twilight off course and destroys several other ships. Decepticon engineers work to keep the ship intact. As they do, a strange portal opens unbeknownst to them, taking them out of the storm. As the ship exits the portal, it sparks and screens flicker.
Status report.
Comms and navigation disabled, sir. Several hull breaches on the lower decks. Engines are holding up, for now. We're alive, but completely blind. Soundwave steps towards the window and looks out. We see a readout on his chest attempting to analyze the stars and determine where they are.
System, uncharted. Location, unknown. Distance traveled, impossible.
What do you mean, impossible?
Data tracks have archives of all systems within the boundaries of ancient Cybertronian Empire, including Earth's sector. The nearest uncharted system to sector, 1,000 parsecs.
Ah, impossible.
Then how the slag did we get here?
Their question is answered by a shadow that blots out the light of the nearest star. They look out the window and see a massive planetoid with horns on its front and a spiked ring around its circumference, looming over them. A gaping maw lined with sharp teeth sits between the horns. Before they can react, a wave of violet energy bursts out of the maw, freezing them all in place. The camera zooms in on Megatron's body. The sound of machinery powering up is heard, and the hole where Optimus stabbed him begins to glow as his spark is reignited. But wrong. Megatron's eyes snap open, and the camera zooms into one of them. The scene shifts to inside Megatron's mind, where he appears intact.
What? Where am I?
Welcome, Megatron.
Who is that?
You know who I am.
No. Impossible.
Do you deny your senses, or what you know of your own history?
I know that you are a myth, or long dead.
Death cannot claim me, for I am death. I am destruction, war, chaos, and I have a proposition for you.
From there, we shift back to the ship deck. The light has faded, and in its wake, the ship has been reformatted into a completely new model, as have all of its inhabitants. The Constructicons, Soundwave, and the Vehicons have been upgraded to new, more powerful forms. They look down at themselves in amazement. The coffin glows and bursts open. They turn to look and see Megatron reborn as Galvatron. His eyes glow violet, and so do all of theirs, signifying their change to heralds of Unicron. But Soundwave's visor remains red longer than the others do, as if he is struggling against the control. Ultimately, however, even his will is no match for Unicron's. What Unicron proposed to Megatron we will come back to later. Closing this scene, we zoom out from the new ship to the title card. In the present, we find ourselves watching as a fleet approaches a space station. Text at the bottom reads, "The Decepticon colony of New Tarn." The ship at the head of the fleet is the Victory, Starscream's vessel. The leader of the colony, Straxus, attempts to coordinate his troops to defend from the invaders. At one point, an alert sounds over the colony's central comms, and Starscream's hologram appears.
Straxus, moved up in the universe, have you?
Starscream, what is the meaning of this?
The age of division among the Decepticons is over, Straxus. The time has come for us to unite and crush the Autobots once and for all.
And you think that you'll be the one to do it?
I knew it. Look at my fleet. Already I have united all of the Seeker armadas, claimed Shockwave's army upon his demise, and even swayed Bludgeon and his followers to my side. In all the universe, only Cyclonus's fleet rivals my own, and that horned coward has not left the Hadian system since rising to power. We are Decepticons. We should not slink away and hide on a blasted waste like Char when there is a universe to conquer. What point is there in colonies and holds if we are not expanding? The Autobots have all but gathered, and their numbers are far, far fewer than our own. If we would but unite under one strong ruler, we could end this conflict and Optimus Prime in one fell swoop.
Yes, a united front would strengthen the Decepticons in a manner unseen since Tiger Pax. But tell me, Starscream, is it your fleet alone that should inspire me to join you?
Not the fleet, but the fact that all of its weapons are trained on your pathetic colony at this moment.
What? Are you mad?
I cannot suffer any rivals, Straxus. Either you join your power to mine, or I will wipe you from the face of the galaxy.
Straxus ponders Starscream's threat. He knows that New Tarn has nothing capable of defending from a massive fleet like Starscream has mustered. Yet his pride is making him doubt whether or not he can stomach, so to speak, following Starscream's command. Finally, he makes his decision. He has built up New Tarn for some time at this point, and he will not allow his pride to destroy it.
So be it, Starscream. I swear fealty to you.
We cut to Autobot City, which has been rebuilt in full in the past 2 years, and even upgraded in some ways. More Autobots have arrived from various colonies throughout space, but as Starscream pointed out, their numbers have massively dwindled over the centuries. The KSI bots are the most growth they've seen since, you guessed it, Tiger Pax. While there are countless Cybertronian colonies out there, not all of them still call themselves Autobots. In essence, the ones that have gathered to Autobot City are those that are 1, alive, and 2, still call themselves Autobots rather than forswearing both sides or joining the Decepticon cause. The Decepticons, however, had already established colonies prior to Cybertron going dark, as Megatron had desired. A galactic empire! As such, there are entire armies of cons that have not fought on the front lines since near the beginning of the war. Additionally, Viacons are a sort of mass-produced Half-Life, a far more sustainable and controllable army, while Autotroopers are just normal bots with their own names and everything. I just don't give them all names because that would be absolutely insane. There are a ton of named Autobots already, and I haven't even scratched the surface of all of them. Trailbreaker, Inferno, Greenlight, Lancer, Powerglide, Trax, Warpath, none of those guys have shown up yet, because I couldn't find the room. But despite the small, dwindling numbers of the Autobots, Autobot City is thriving. New proximity detectors and anti-aircraft cannons have been installed, and every new arrival is vetted to ensure another Sideways doesn't happen. Even visiting humans have their vehicles scanned to ensure that they aren't Decepticons in disguise. That very thing happens as we follow a single car driving across the mechanical drawbridge, a car containing Carly Witwicky and her 10-year-old son, Daniel. This is Daniel's first exposure to the Autobots, though he has heard of them before from his mother and grandfather. Carly's decided that it's finally time for him to be exposed to the side of their life that his father died for and that his mother still fights for. I kind of love what I've done with Carly, honestly, if I can pat my own back there for a second. Daniel looks out the window in wonder. He is the spitting image of Sam, just younger. The car is stopped by a pair of Autobots who recognize Carly and wave her through after determining her car is benign. She drives towards the spire, Daniel staring, mouth agape, at the bustling city of giant robots. The car comes to a stop and the pair enter the spire, where Team Prowl is receiving an assignment from Ultra Magnus.
Prowl, Prime wants you and your team to take the Death's Head into the Hadian system and investigate these reports of Decepticon activity. 2 years of minimal news does not exactly put Prime at ease. We need to know what Starscream is planning, so we can prepare for it. We'll be ready to go within the Megacycle Magnus.
In the last 2 years, Autobot engineers have replicated the Death's Head's black hole drive, thus giving their fleet a much-needed advantage over the much larger Decepticon fleet, which is forced to rely on warp drives, which cut travel time down, but can't instantaneously transport them. For that, they'd need to rely on space bridges, which are built in specific locations throughout the universe. Once again, why the pillars were such a major advancement, one that Wheeljack is hesitant to replicate after the debacle that was Dark of the Moon. For a semi-full explanation of black hole drives, they are actually not Cybertronian technology. Lockdown stole them from some other technologically advanced race and installed it into the Death's Head, because that was his thing. He steals things from people. Black hole drives are very useful, but also very dangerous, because if it melts down, well, it causes a literal black hole. It literally uses a black hole to power itself, but it's a contained black hole. Think of the Eye of Harmony in the TARDIS in Doctor Who. And that's why black hole drives are able to teleport instantaneously across space. Very powerful, very volatile, very dangerous if damaged. But at this point in time, the Autobots are taking what advantages they can get. Carly approaches the Autobots and introduces them to Daniel. She asks Magnus where Optimus is, and he reveals that he is with Hot Rod outside of the city. We cut to the pair of them driving on a country road going up a mountain. Once they reach the summit, Optimus transforms and looks out at the landscape. Hot Rod also transforms behind him. Why are we out here, Optimus? You've been pretty secretive.
I find that a secluded place with minimal distractions is the best place for learning and introspection. The city grows more populous by the day, and what I desire to say merits some degree of privacy.
He turns to face Hot Rod.
What do you know of Cybertron's history, Hot Rod?
Sorry?
It was not a difficult question, my young friend.
Right. Well, our society was founded by the 13, the original Primes.
Tell me of the 13.
Prima was their leader. Solus was a great craft spot. Micronus, Onyx, Nexus, and Amalgamus were the templates for Minicons, Maximals, Combiners, and Multi-Changers, including Shifters, respectively. Vector Prime was the prime of time and space. Alpha Trion, your old mentor, was the prime of wisdom. And Logos was the prime of knowledge. Quintus Prime was the prime of life and created several non-Cybertronian life forms, including the Quintessons, who later went rogue. Little is written of Liege Maximo except that he was power-hungry, and the 13th was the Fallen, whose true name has been struck from history.
Very good. Now, tell me of the accomplishments of Alpha Trion, Logos, and Vector.
Accomplishments?
The gifts which they left for Cybertron.
Hot Rod goes silent.
It seems there are yet gaps in your knowledge.
I'm sorry.
No, it is not your fault. Wartime leaves little opportunity to study history, especially when stranded on another planet. Listen well, and I will teach you. To Vector Prime was given the ability to see through time itself. To Logos was given the sum of knowledge, and to Alpha Trion was given the understanding of the mystic secrets of Cybertron, the Matrix, and life itself. Together they constructed a great machine, capable of containing the whole knowledge of the universe, past, present, and future. This machine is known as Vector Sigma, and it is the sole receptacle of all understanding in the universe, capable of uncovering the past and revealing the future, but only to the Primes, as it is connected to the Matrix, which contains the wisdom and understanding of all Primes who have passed. It is a great boon and a heavy responsibility.
Wow. Optimus, why are you telling me this? Optimus goes silent, staring out at the landscape once more. A sorrowful expression enters his eyes, as if he knows that his days of seeing and appreciating the beauty of Earth, this planet he has come to love, are numbered.
I will not always be here, Hot Rod. I have returned from death once before, but I doubt that such a miracle can happen twice. I have outlived my oldest friends. Ironhide, Ratchet, Jazz, Sentinel, Bumblebee.
He goes quiet again for a moment.
Megatron. Of the old guard, only Ultra Magnus and I remain. And of those who yet understand the mysteries of Cybertron, it is I alone. Those mysteries cannot die with me, and so I seek to impart them to one whom I know will guard them wisely.
I'm honored by your trust, Optimus, but surely you'll still be around for a long time yet. Once more, Optimus is silent. Given the foreknowledge he has, this Optimus, unlike his G1 counterpart, has a chance to prepare his successor, and he has jumped on that opportunity. However, he is hesitant to tell Hot Rod of his vision and of the fact that the Matrix has seemingly chosen him as its next recipient, as he does not want his protege to go down the Atreus path, so to speak. To those of you who have not played the Norse God of War games, first of all, spoilers, and second of all, when Kratos' son Atreus discovers his divine heritage, he becomes a little terror for a while, even murdering Modi, son of Thor, in cold blood. Optimus, having already seen a similar thing happen with Megatron when he became convinced that destiny was on his side, does not want the same to happen to Hot Rod.
There is no harm in being prepared, Hot Rod.
An alert comes over his comm from Wheeljack. Prime, we've tracked down the bot you've been looking for.
Excellent work, Wheeljack. Open a ground bridge. You should stay with me for this, Hot Rod. I may need some backup.
We cut back to Team Prowl, loading up on the Death's Head, which has been decorated with Autobot markings, including Prowl's own insignia, which is a gold Autobot shield in the middle of a black police star, and the Elite Guard shield. We see that Nest has sent Lennox, Cade, and a couple other operatives with them, as the Decepticons are as much a threat to Earth as to the Autobots, so they want human representatives on this scouting mission. The ship takes off, and we get some banter between the characters. Daniel is given free rein to explore the Spire, so long as he has an Autobot escort, in this case, RC and Blur. After a brief scene with that trio, as Daniel is being shown around, we cut to deep space, where Cyclonus and his fleet are located. His ship, the Decimator, is at the head. A scout ship emerges from warp. On the bridge, Scourge, Cyclonus' lieutenant, approaches.
Cyclonus, a scout has returned.
A single scout?
Yes. It is worse than we could ever have dreamed. Starscream has enlisted Bludgeon, Straxus, and the Seeker armadas to his cause, including Dreadwings. His ranks have also been bolstered by strange new bots.
Even Bludgeon and Dreadwing?
Yes. The Empyrean and the Skyclaw are both among the ships under Starscream's control. His own ship is a near-perfect replica of the Nemesis. He has called it the Victory.
Sidebar, you may have noticed that I'm using a lot of Decepticon ship names from various shows and comics. That's because I'm a colossal nerd. I'm also just a major sucker for named ships. Comes with the Star Wars fan territory.
We underestimated Starscream, all of us. We thought him merely a treacherous leech, but he has now done what none have since Tiger Pax. How is this possible? That he, not I, not Bludgeon, not Shockwave, has all but united the Decepticons.
Our fleet is still a match for his.
It is not the number, Scourge, but the quality of his followers. All other generals except Overlord, who has vanished, and I now follow Starscream. It is madness.
You sound on the brink of surrender.
Surrender? Never! I will die before I see the Decepticon cause in Starscream's hands. Prepare the fleet for battle.
Scourge nods and exits the bridge. Cyclonus stares out of the stars. Outside of Censure range, the Death's Head appears.
Slag, that's a lot of cons.
I recognize the markings on that ship. It's the Decimator, Cyclonus' flagship. Thought we were looking for Starscream. Cyclonus is equally as dangerous, if more predictable. Besides, I have a feeling we'll be seeing Screamer soon enough. How do you reckon? Cyclonus was an air commander, like Starscream, and in the later years of the war he was given stewardship of a large portion of the remaining Decepticons. Considering Starscream has coerced Bludgeon and Shockwave's forces to his side, plus Primus knows who else, Cyclonus is one of, if not the, last obstacle in his path to complete rulership of the Decepticons.
This would explain things somewhat, like why we haven't heard a peep out of Screamer since he sprung Bludgeon, not to mention why he sprung Bludgeon in the first place. Right. Mirage, send a transmission to Autobot City.
Mirage attempts to activate the comms, but finds them unresponsive.
What the?
The rest of the ship's systems begin to flicker as well.
What's happening? I don't know. We shouldn't be out of energon.
All questions are answered as a shadow is cast over them. A ship appears in a crackling of violet energy. They do not recognize it, not as what it was once called, Twilight, nor as what it is now, the Revenge. A tractor beam holds the Death's Head still and begins to pull it into its docking bay.
Hold on.
The ship is docked and clamped down. Strange Vehicon-like bots begin to pry the airlocks open. A shadowy shape approaches, a bird-like bot on his shoulder. The ramp is forcibly lowered.
Exit the ship, Autobots, or be terminated.
Soundwave. Who? Megatron's main crony. Haven't seen him since Chicago. We'd best do as he says. Whatever field deactivated the ship has shut down our weapons too.
To demonstrate, he attempts to fire both his blaster and acid launcher, both proving fruitless. The other Autobots attempt the same, with identical results.
Slag.
The Autobots and Nest agents emerge from the ship and face Soundwave and his fellows.
Disarm them.
The drones obey.
Bind them.
Again, they obey.
Follow.
He turns, Laserbeak squawking at the Autobots as they walk.
So which side are you following, Soundwave? Cyclonus, you and he were pretty loyal to your old boss.
Negative.
Starscream, can't say I expected.
Negative.
Your own faction. Planning to let them all destroy each other and swoop in after? I never took you for a particularly ambitious bot.
Negative. Then who? You will see.
They arrive at the bridge, where the ship's captain stands with his back turned to them.
Welcome to the Revenge, Autobots.
They all react at the sound of his voice, as though only Mirage was on Earth pre-AOE, all had been on Cybertron. The only one with no reaction is Cade.
No, it can't be. It's not possible. You're dead.
The figure turns to face them.
And yet, I still function. Megatron. That's Megatron. Not anymore. Call me.
He steps into the light.
Galvatron.